Hello everyone, back to you into today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. So day 10 is going to take us to around the 21st of August. We'll be able to extend out beyond that. We extend GFS and ECL ensembles may run to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFSB2 at the end of the video. For the next 4 weeks, beginning in the tropical Atlantic, we've got a new disturbance area that looks like it's going to become a named storm very shortly. So we'll bring you up to date what's going on there at the start of the video. Right then, so the ECL 30-day look ahead has been released. That's looking at temperature and rainfall anomalies for the next 4 weeks for UK and the rest of Europe as well. So it's looking like we could get a bit of a cool down and turn more unsettled into the second half of August after this very hot first half. But have a look at the EC 30-day look ahead, see what's going on. And we're going to have a storm watch coming up for you tonight. That'll be after 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to have a look at the very latest in terms of thunderstorms and whatnot. So there's some big storms around last night, of course, across parts of the country. I know where Savvy is in Colwyn Bay, he had a really dramatic night of it last night with the supercell thunderstorms, and across parts of northwest England too. So yeah, the storms were more west last night, but we're going to have a look at Stormwatch tonight after 7 to see where the risk of storms is over the next couple of days. I think they're going to be gradually pushing more towards more southern, maybe a few eastern areas as well, but we'll confirm that later on. We'll confirm that later on in Stormwatch. So a lot going on the channel today. So let's get on with it then. And we're going to start off by having a look at what's happening in the tropical Atlantic. So we've got this red disturbance area just here. So that is disturbance 1 with a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. 90% chance. So very, very high chance it's going to become a named storm. Natural Hurricane Centre with this, saying first light visible satellite imagery shows that a better defined centre of circulation is forming in association with a low pressure system located about 900 miles west-southwest of Cabo Verde Islands. In addition, the associated shower and thunderstorm activity has become more organised since yesterday. Environmental conditions are expected to become more conducive for additional development, and advisories could be initiated on a tropical depression as early as later today. If these development trends continue, the disturbance is forecast to move west-northwestwards at around 15 miles per hour across the tropical Atlantic during the next few days, and conditions are expected to become less conducive for development by the end of the week. So there it is, disturbance 1 could well become our next named tropical storm. We shall see. We'll keep a very close eye on that. Right, it's another very, very hot afternoon out there. These are our latest temperature observations from XC Weather, updated just a couple of minutes ago at 14:38. So we've got 34 degrees flashing away in a few stations. Heathrow has been up to 34, although I think they're back down to 33 now. We've also got 34 at Northolt and 34 there at Farnborough as well. Also, Odium is at 33. I say Heathrow is at 33 as well. There it is. We've got Luton at 32. We've got High Wycombe at 32. London City Airport is at 33. Biggin Hills at 31. Gatwick is at 32. So yeah, very, very hot afternoon out there in the southeast once again. Going into the Midlands, got Church Lawford at 30. Got Wittering at 32. At 32. We've got East Midlands Airport at 27. We've got Norwich at 30, moving into Wales. We've got Senny Bridge at 26. We've got Plymouth at 26. Into the north of Wales, we've got Rhyl at 23. We've got Leaming at 27. Teesside is at 25, and then Spadadam is at 20. Moving up to Edinburgh, 19 degrees there, a lot cooler for Edinburgh. Aviemore is at 22. Altnahara is at 24. Belfast is at 21. Into the Republic, we've got Girton at 19. Down to southwest England, Plymouth is at 20. And along the south coast, we've got Southampton at 32. Shoreham is at 26 and Bournemouth is at 29. So very hot afternoon out there. We're already up to 34. There's at least another hour, if not like an hour and a half of warming to go. So I reckon 35, maybe 36. 36 is achievable somewhere like Heathrow, Farnborough, Norfolk, somewhere like that. 35 or 36 is achievable in the next hour to hour and a half, and that's going into, well, 36 is around 97 Fahrenheit, so another extremely hot afternoon in the southeast, central parts of London and in those sort of areas. Midlands is going to be up to around 32, 33, so yeah, very, very hot and high humidity as well. This is likely to spark up more thunderstorms. Wait for Stormwatch, which will be released after 7 o'clock tonight, and we'll look at the latest. There is a UK-wide, or virtually UK-wide, severe weather warning for thunderstorms from the UK Met today. So if we click that, we can see that they are saying, this is valid from like midnight last night to midnight tonight. They're saying severe thunderstorms affecting a few places, bringing the risk of transport disruption and localised flooding. Severe weather warnings are also in force for many of us on Wednesday. Again, if we click it, they're saying some places are likely to see further severe thunderstorms with significant uncertainty in location and timing. That's valid from like midnight Wednesday to midnight Thursday. And then Thursday, there's another thunderstorm warning. This one more focused on England and Wales. We click that one. It's valid from midnight Thursday to midnight Friday. They're saying some places are likely to see severe thunderstorms during Thursday, but with significant uncertainty in location and time. We're going to have a look at the high res tonight and see if we can try and pin down where these thunderstorms might be. I think with yesterday's Stormwatch, we did pretty well. I was quite pleased with how that came out, with the focus for severe thunderstorms for like Wales, northwestern England, possibly up to southwest Scotland. I think we did pretty well with Stormwatch yesterday for last night's storm. So we're going to see if we can have another successful Stormwatch tonight, maybe after 7 o'clock. CET is continuing its inexorable rise upwards. So this is how the CET is currently standing provisional for the first 10 days of the month up to the 10th. We're standing at 18.4, which is an anomaly of 2.5 degrees above average. So yeah, really hot now with the CET, and it's going to carry on rise. It's going to go above 19 degrees, I think, by the time we get through to the end of the week. Expect this to be at 19 degrees with such hot days and warm nights as we're having at the moment. This is the CET page at GavsWeatherVids. This is depicting every month's CET all the way back to 1659. It's the longest and most consistent, reliable temperature record anywhere in the world. And yeah, but of course, the further back you go, more unreliable it gets. Right, let's scroll down to through the decades and centuries to the latest year. So this is 2020 just here. So we know what's happened with this. So we had quite a warm June at 15.3 after a very warm spring, of course. June was warm as well at 15.3. Then July went below average. This is where August is going to be placed, just here. Now, will we be able to have an 18 Celsius CET August being put there? And when was the last time we had one? Well, last August came in at 17.1 actually. So last August was the warmest for quite some time. But for an 18 Celsius CET August, we have to go quite a long way back now. So we have to go back actually to the year 2003. That's 2003 just there. And there's August 2003 coming out at 18.3 with the CET for August 2003. That was the year that we had the hottest, the UK's hottest temperature on record. It was bettered last year in July, of course, at Cambridge Botanical Gardens, but that record stood from 2003 to like last year, 2019. So to get the warmest August since 2003, though, we actually have to come in at 17.7. So we had a very warm August in 2004, actually, at 17.6. It wasn't quite as hot as the year before, 2003 at 18.3, but that was a pretty warm August in 2004. And so to get the warmest August since 2003, we've got to be at 17.7 or above. That would be 2004. But to get an 18 Celsius CET August, or if we got an 18 Celsius CET August, that'd be the first time that's happened since 2003. And just out of interest, When was the last time we had a 19 Celsius CET August? Because we have had 19 Celsius CET August before. We had it in 1995. So we had 1997, which came out at 18.9, very, very close to 19 Celsius CET August. But 1995, August 1995, part of that very, very hot summer, almost as hot as 76 really, and actually a little bit drier than 1976, which a lot of people forget. But August 1995 came out with a CET of 19.2. 19.2 was the last time we had, 1995 was the last time we had an August CET in the 19s. 1990 was a very good decade for August, of course, because we have 1990 with a CET of 18.0. Then we have 1995, of course, as well. Then we have 1997 at 18.9. And then we have 2003 at 18.3. So we had a remarkable run of very hot August from 1990 to 2003, and then none since then, interestingly. So we are certainly due a hot August. You have to say that this hot August that we get at the moment is probably not a surprise, given the run that we had from 1990 to 2003, and then nothing since. They've just generally had quite poor August since 2003. So this August, I mean, it's taken a lot of people by surprise. It's been a very long time since we've had a really hot spell in August, but we are probably well overdue for this. To be honest, you know, we've probably been lucky or unlucky, depending on whether you like hot weather, not to have had this happen before now, really. So a hot August was overdue. That's not necessarily to say we're going to get an 18 Celsius CET August, but I don't think it's guaranteed. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line is a 30-year average for London at Old West Central. Now, obviously, it's very, very hot at the moment. It's going to stay so until, like, Thursday. After that, we see a very slow and gradual drop in the temperature. It's not dramatic. It just sort of lowers a little bit day by day until we get into the third week of August. That's this period just here. Then we sort of see the CET returning quite close to the 30-year temperature average then. So we are going to get a cool down. It's going to depend how high the CET gets as to whether that cool down will drag us down below, below 8 Celsius. I think a 17 Celsius CET at this point for August is almost guaranteed, really, given we're going to be in the 19s by the end of this week. But then where we go after that in the second half of the month does remain to be seen. There might be a little bit of a warm up again begin to appear around there, which is like the 23rd, 24th of August. So any further warm weather in the second half of August will probably keep us in the 18th, but it could be a close run thing whether we pull this off or not, so time will tell. What we can say is that there's going to be plenty of precipitation coming up, so we're starting off pretty dry at the moment, of course, but thunderstorms are going to become increasingly widespread as the temperature lowers, so it will involve thunderstorms and heavy rain. And we keep it pretty unsettled going on into the second half of August as well, so there will be lots of storms still to come. Temperature anomalies from the 11th to the 19th of August are looking like that, very substantially hotter than average in the week ahead. Hardly a surprise given temperatures at the moment are well into the 30s for much of England and Wales, but also quite wet, which is an unusual summer combination. You know, normally if it's wetter than average, it would tend to be quite cool in the summer, but it's one of those rare situations where it's very hot, but also very, very volatile. So for England and Wales, we actually have an above average rainfall anomaly from the 11th to the 19th of August. It is a little bit drier in the far north and northwest. This is how the latest wind flow map is looking from earthnullschool.net. High pressure is more or less still in control of the weather. We have got low pressure out to our west, so we've got an area of low pressure just there being blocked by the ridge that's across most parts of northern and western Europe as well. And of course, we're drawing up those hot winds. We're drawing up hot winds from off the continent. We can overlay the temperature contrail, and that will show just how hot the area is wafting up out of Europe. So yes, very hot air being drawn up out of Europe today. But also pretty volatile as we come towards the end of the week with the UK Met chart. This is for Friday. We're going to see showers breaking out again across England and Wales, in particular with this trough of low pressure. And as we go into the weekend, it just looks rather volatile still, really. Even into the weekend, we might keep some showers going. And then a new area of low pressure moving up from France on Monday. That could enhance the risk of thunderstorms. So the showers and storms might ease down a little bit over the weekend, but then they might start picking up again early next week, and we could go back to another very thundery spell. That's as far as we get with UK Met to Monday. That's the GFS. So again, it looks rather volatile for England and Wales on Friday. Possibly goes a little bit quieter over the weekend, but then we start to bring low pressure in off the Atlantic early next week. Now, that might involve drawing up some quite warm air from the south ahead of this area of low pressure. It might involve thunder as well, as this low pressure comes trundling in from off the Atlantic. But by the middle of next week, it looks like we're going significantly more unsettled and cooler as well, as we're opening the door to westerly winds. However, by the time you get from January 22nd of August, we're raising the heights in the south again. So to get an 18 Celsius CET August, that would be very helpful. Any sort of ridge and warmer weather that gets going in the second half of August will be very helpful in keeping the CET above 18 degrees. So it potentially turns quite warm there for a little while again, perhaps quite hot again, around the 22nd, 23rd of August, before we go back into fresher westerly winds. Now, notice this area of low pressure just here on the extreme left of the screen as you are looking at it. That looks very suspiciously like the remains of a tropical storm or hurricane moving into the North Atlantic. And that comes closer into the North Atlantic as far as we go with this GFS run, which is 27th of August. So watch out for what's happening with that. This is always a big unknown later on in August, and particularly in September. These ex-hurricanes and tropical storms moving into the North Atlantic are always the big unknowns, and it's why September, one of the hardest months to forecast for. Where does that go? Where does that low pressure go that is the remains of probably a hurricane? Does that go up here and allow high pressure to build to the east of it across northern Western Europe and bring another spell of very dry warm weather? Or does that low pressure just get caught up in the jet stream, come crashing through the ridge and just set us off into a spell of very unsettled weather for August? They're always the big unknowns. Always a big unknowns as you go into September, where the remains of these big low pressure systems that are the remains of tropical storms and hurricanes, where they are going. Very interesting to see what happens with that. This is the GM. So again, it looks rather volatile for England and Wales on Friday. And then into the weekend, the storm risk probably quietens down a little bit. It turns a little bit drier, still very warm. Early next week, low pressure comes meandering in off the Atlantic. This is changing the air mass. Oops, I don't want to go there. I want to go back to there. This is changing the air mass, turning us a lot cooler and a lot more unsettled with the GM as we go up towards day 10. So yeah, that's a big change from where we are right now to proper cool and unsettled conditions by day 10 with the GEM. And then this is the ECMWF, and again it looks rather volatile for England and Wales on Friday, probably going a bit quieter on Saturday and Sunday, and then the storms probably picking back up again through the early part of next week. That leads to a breakdown of the heat wave, and we go eventually into much cooler and much more unsettled spell of weather with the EC midnight run. So by day 10, which is Friday the 21st of August, you could say that looks a little bit autumnal, with quite a deep area of low pressure at 990 millibars just to the northwest of Scotland. We're bringing in a pretty cool west to northwesterly flow, and there will be showers and longer spells of rain involved with that too. This is how the rainfall forecast is looking with that ECM run from Temeteo.com. So thunderstorms again could be knocking around over the next day or so. More about that in Storm Watch later on today. And into the end of the week, actually, the storm risk continues, particularly so for England and for Wales too. Into the weekend, the storms just ease off a little bit, but then go through to the early part of next week. They start picking up again, especially so down in the south. Again, torrential rain and thunderstorms possible early next week. That eventually leads to a much cooler air coming in from off the Atlantic, and then we start opening the door to Atlantic weather systems, turning wet and windy from the west, and temperatures lowering quite a bit as well. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10 by the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 21st of August. Have 14 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our north. Low pressure is over the country. We look unsettled with that, and we're bringing in winds from a cooler westerly direction. That includes the control and the operational run. 12 just here again with low pressure over top of the country. They're going to be cool and unsettled. 9, got a deep area of low pressure over country. Could involve some higher pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland as well. 7 with low pressure to our east, high pressure to the northwest. That would open the door to like a northerly wind. 6 with high pressure just to the north and bringing in a wind from an easterly direction. And then 3 with low pressure going to our north. Most of those options are looking unsettled at day 10. Most of those are looking unsettled, and crucially, for anyone who doesn't like the heat, they are looking a lot cooler as well. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It's the 26th of August. 24 members of the ECM ensembles again look unsettled. Low pressure over country, bringing winds from relatively cool westerly direction. 15 with high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland. A trough of low pressure over country, then open the door to northeasterly wind. 12 with low pressure over just to west. Again, they could be quite unsettled. If the ECM ensembles are right, we're going to struggle to keep the CET at 18 degrees for this August, because that does look as though we're going much cooler and much more unsettled to me for like the final 10 days or so of August. So that will mean that we have a real struggle, I think, to keep the CET at 18 degrees. So it's going to be touch and go. Finally, with CFSV2, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 11th to the 17th of August. The coming week has a high pressure up to the north, low pressure down to the southwest. Winds are in from a southeast direction. It's hot, but the low pressure from the south is, of course, bringing thunder. Week 2 is the 18th to 24th of August. It's different to what the ECM ensembles in particular are showing, because this keeps things very warm with winds from an east-southeast direction, but the low pressure out to the west again probably providing the risk of thunder. And 18 Celsius CET August is doable with the CFS. Week 3 is the 25th to the 31st of August. High pressure beginning to recede back towards Scandinavia. Low pressure looks like it's probably starting to turn us a little bit cooler, a little bit more unsettled for the final week of August. And then week 4 is the 1st to the 7th of September. Above average heights then to our north, over and to the north, and also to the northwest of the country. Could mean that we're bringing in the winds from like a northeasterly direction. A little bit different. That's quite a lot drier, but could be a little bit on the cool side with winds coming in from a northeasterly direction. Of course, it would only take a very slight adjustment, though, to start bringing in the winds from an east to southeasterly direction. And if that came off, that would deliver us quite a hot start to September, which, of course, is something that we do get quite regularly. Okay, so that's it. So the general gist of it all is that we're going to be keeping things pretty hot for the next few days. Very slow and gradual cool down, but it is going to be slow and gradual with these thunderstorms crossing the Wales in particular. Into the weekend, so we're looking at perhaps a slightly quieter weekend, still very warm, potentially over the weekend, a little bit less away of thunder. Then early next week we probably pick the thunderstorms back up again, and then we might get a proper cool down coming along by like the middle of next week kind of thing. And then where we go after that, the last sort of 10 days or so of August, that will determine whether we get this 18 Celsius CET August or not. It's probably going to be quite a close run thing. Okay then, so we'll be back later on with Storm Watch. That'll be after 7 o'clock tonight. We'll see how things are looking with these thunderstorms. But for the 10 to 14 day video update, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.